Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome, all my friends, to the podcast that once again, we're back, baby. But we had to move days. It happens. Life happens. Scott had a chance to support the arts this week. Scott, what was the play this month?
It was the Da Vinci Code.
How was that on stage?
It actually wasn't bad. I was skeptical, but it turned out all right.
Not a musical, I'm guessing.
No, not a musical. That was my question of the day to the kids. Was what movie would you like to see turned into a musical? Now I want you to picture this, Tim. Jurassic Park. Where it's line dancing and singing.
I was gonna say, is there a way the Velociraptors could have a choreographed number together?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see something like a National Treasure, like National Treasure the musical.
I could buy that.
Nicolas Cage is just like sitting on stage singing, like he's just like, instead of like a long monologue, he's singing about like his father's past and like trying to make up for everything. It's just, I need to find this fucking scroll.
Could you buy a Sopranos musical?
I mean, in some ways, it kind of like they never sing, but they've got a great soundtrack. And Tony's always bumping the 70s, man.
Yeah. All right, Tim. I know you had an exciting opening question for us.
I did. So that was a good one. You just, what movie could we make a musical? But let's talk about, and this actually, I think this was yours, Scott. I appreciate you to give me the credit, but you brought it up. What is your favorite moment of your sports career personally?
All right. So picture this, 7th grade, Tim. I'm playing football. I've never played football a day in my life before I played 7th grade football. We're running the wishbone. I'm a wide receiver. I don't think there's any position more useless than wide receiver in the wishbone. But I was the fastest guy on the team. And so finally the coach just broke down. So like, I'm running a fucking reverse. So he runs a reverse to me. And we faked the entire team out of their shoes. I'm sprinting down the field. But see, nobody taught me how to put the pads in my pants. So I'm running down the field and my knee pad is flapping outside of my knee. But I ended up scoring my first touchdown in that game. It ended up going, this is like 3 or 4 games in the season, Tim. And we played 8 games. I ended up scoring 7 touchdowns, which, led, both the A and the B team. Because it got to the point where like we couldn't get first downs. And like coach was like, okay, fuck it, run a reverse. And he finally told the team, he says, I'm tired of running reverses just so I can get a damn first down. And then the next year they moved me to running back. And that's when I broke my collarbone and never played football again.
Sounds like we had similar high school football narratives, except I was on the defensive side of the ball in 7th grade. I had 7 fumble recoveries in 7 games. Played offensive line. We were like the best team in district, but then like it comes out like after the last game that like our left guard was 15 in 7th grade, and like none of the coaches knew, so we had to like forfeit our district title. And this kid took it like he took some fucking shit for. I mean, we were on the 7th grade B team. It didn't mean anything, right? But this guy, Spencer Brigette, I will never forget his name. Took some shit for that. But I remember a moment from 8th grade playing at NASA Pony. We had to pick up a suspended game because extra innings or something. I can't remember why we had to start this game again, but like we were starting in extra innings, and we blank him in the top half. Guy ahead of me walks. I come up to the dish, cement mixer right in the fucking zone, Scott. Mouth is watering, licking my lips. Just absolutely tattoo a baseball to left center field for my first ever homer, walk-off homer. Mom goes and runs and gets the ball. But what made the moment even that much better was we were playing a full game after the suspended game. So, like, we finished this game, and then we immediately rolled into, like, a game versus another team. And I was hitting, like, third or fourth in that game after I just hit a walk-off homer. The coach was like, lineup changes. So he moves me to, like, top of the order. And as I come up to bat, I hear the other coach yell, back up, this kid just went yard. And I was like, that's the best fucking moment I've ever had in my entire life, where he's telling everybody to back up because I just tanked one.
I had a moment like that, Tim, where I was the center fielder, and I gunned a guy down trying to score from second on a single at home. And I saw the coaches like telling his players, like, you see him putting up the huge stop sign whenever the ball would come out to me. That was nice.
Did you? Close to the gun, baby. But no, that was a pretty memorable moment. I'd put that one up there. Probably that, and the first time I actually shot even par, pulled it off, had like a testy 5-footer on 18 for birdie to shoot even par after I had shot like 1 over 3 times in the last 4 rounds or something. It finally broke through, and that was a pretty great moment. But I'll never forget being an 8th grader and hearing a coach yell to this whole team, back up, this kid just went yard.
All right, so Tim, would you like to tell the audience what your official USGA handicap is right now?
I am officially a plus 0.1 right now. The closest you could be to barely pass scratch, but hey, I'll fucking take it. Whatever course I played this weekend that we'll get to more in the awards portion of the show, I guess had a pretty high slope. So I shot even par out there on Saturday and took the handicap in a great spot.
Yeah, I've dreamed of being a scratch golfer. About as low as I've ever gotten is I think I got in the 7s, was about as low as I ever got.
That was my dream in COVID. I told myself I wanted to be scratch again. I had a lot of shit going on in my life, and I was like, I'm going to devote myself again to the game of golf. And I wanted to be scratch. Like I wanted that ability to tell people I'm a scratch golfer, and I overuse it. I'll be completely honest with you. Like I was having a conversation at my daughter's softball game the other day, and it started off as I was talking to this parent, and I was just mentioning I was frustrated that I was told I couldn't coach in this league because there's a plethora of assistant coaches. They have 4 assistants, and I've only ever seen one show up, and none of them know how to actually coach. And she's like, yeah, we're talking back and forth. And I was like, I actually, I'm a scratch golfer, and so I normally volunteer. I normally volunteer for the first tee, yada, yada. And then she goes, oh, my husband plays golf. She introduces me. Oh, you play golf? Yeah, I'm actually a scratch. My wife looks at me. Haley looked at me like, you're a fucking dick. Like, no one asked you, but I just threw it right out there, man.
All right.
I've worked too hard to keep quiet about it.
Speaking of bragging rights, Tim. So the Houston Texans had gone 0 for 22 years in Baltimore up until this last Sunday. So how much of that were you blacked out from that game where you were?
Yeah. How'd you know, Scott? But
just a guess.
One of the few times that the Texans put on such an offensive performance that Red Zone actually showed quite a bit of the Texans this week.
Yeah, the game was never close. I drove home early because Ann came home for the weekend. So I wanted to get here before she left because I went there, watched the Horned Frogs beat up on Deion Sanders. and the Colorado Buffaloes, which I'll get to more of that later on in the show. But yeah, it was never close. And on the one hand, you could sit there and say that the Ravens defense is an absolute mess, and the Titans just suck as a franchise. So beating them 70-10 the last 2 weeks combined, you can sit there and go, yeah, but I'll just point out this, Tim. How many times have we complained about the other Houston teams not beating the teams that they're supposed to, not taking care of business?
Mostly, specifically, one team that constantly plays down to the competition is the Astros. We have belabored that point specifically. So I do think there's something to be said for that. I have much more positive out of this game than I did the Titans game for the offense specifically. Like, as you mentioned, the Titans are a fucking joke. And we didn't really get the offense going till late in the game in that one. Where this one, we came out and we punched them in the mouth from the start of that game and just kept swinging. And I felt better about the offense this week, mostly because it just seemed like Kaylee called a better game, right? Like, did I watch it live? No, I had Red Zone, but I still have the all 22, whatever that comes with the NFL stuff that I buy. So, I mean, the offensive line is protecting better. This is the best protection Stroud's had in his career. The running game looks better. Nick Chubb's starting to find some room. And I feel like this was the most free-flowing play call we'd had. It was getting CJ in rhythm, letting him stay in rhythm, giving him the type of plays that he's better with, which is one or two quick reads. If it's not there, take off, versus trying to work through 5 progressions and getting his ass sacked. Like, that's the kind of stuff I noticed that we're calling better plays for our quarterback, which is encouraging.
Yeah, I was going to say the two things that I found most encouraging is that I think, number one, CJ's getting rid of the ball quick. I mean, he's and it's just, quick. He's seeing what the defense gives him. He's doing this 2 weeks in a row, where he's been well over 70% completion percentage. He's now over 70% on the season. His quarterback rating on the season's over 100. So, I mean, this is a guy that through 5 games is playing the best football of his 3-year career. The other thing is finally getting Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins on the field. And both of them, obviously Higgins scored a touchdown earlier in the year. Noel got into the end zone. Xavier Hutchinson, the other Iowa State Cyclone, 2 touchdowns. So maybe his best game as a Texan, maybe. I don't know, hard to say. But we're finally not looking at the Justin Watsons and those folks. We're not seeing them on the field. And I'd be fine having guys like that never play another down for the Texans.
If Watson was lining up at tight end, which is what I thought he was brought here to be, I'd be much more happy with that, right? Because there are many times with the Chiefs where that guy had his hand in the dirt or was lined up in 2 tight end sets with Travis Kelce, right? Like, I feel like there were many times I thought Kelce caught a touchdown and it was actually Watson as a Kelce fantasy owner in previous years. So I don't understand the use of him, right? When you're down tight ends the way the Texans are, and you signed a guy who I thought was a backup tight end, maybe a smaller tight end, but still a guy who was effective in the red zone, and you're splitting him out wide.
But, Harrison Bryant, Tim, I mean, he has trouble tripping over the 50-yard line. I mean, how many times has that happened to you where, you're just clicking along and, poof, it just jumps up and grabs you? I mean,
it's not the 50, but I go down from the turf monster at least 2 to 3 times a week, man. Like, I am not the most graceful podcast host you've ever seen in the entire.
No, I'm not either. I trip on the sidewalk. You know how the sidewalk gets to be uneven. You kind of hit that crack. I do that walking the dog at least once.
Dude, Clear Lake was the worst for that. I bought myself a brand new bike when I was in 7th grade for my birthday. And the first or second time I went out riding it, I hit one of those uneven spots on the sidewalk and popped my tire.
Oh.
It's like, I'm like seventh grade, like asking my mom, like, can we call the city to get them to pay for my bike tire? Because this is bullshit.
Yeah, no kidding. But and then on the defensive end, would you say that's Jalen Petre's best game as a Texan?
One of the better ones. I mean, 4 takeaways is pretty great as a
I
defense.
think,
2 for him.
yeah, I was gonna say he was my Schlitz Light player of the game. So I have to go. Yeah, I was noticing that as an aside, Tim, when I bought beer in the grocery store, that most of the beer nowadays is kind of floating between that $9.99 and $11.99 range. And then I saw Lone Star. You see how much they're selling Lone Star for?
For how much? For a 12er?
Yeah, for a 6-pack.
For a 6er of Lone Star, I'm gonna guess
Oh.
$4.99.
You're a little low, but not that far off. It was $5.50, Tim.
It's about right. That's why when I was in college, Lone Star kegs were the ones that we went with. It was like 55 for Keystone, but it was like 59 for Lone Star. So we were just like, if we could find those $4 extra, guys, we don't have to drink fucking Keystone.
Even Keystone was more expensive than the Lone Star, though. I mean, that's what kills me.
That's insane. Lone Star was not a bad beer. Like I when I drank beer, I would take a Lone Star over a lot of things. I was also though I would have drank the shit out of some Miller High Life back in the day, and did drink a lot of Miller High Life. I drank MGD, Genuine Draft. Did not like Miller Lite, but I would fucking go down on some High Life.
Yeah. All right. So, who'd you like on defense other than Petrie, Tim?
I thought Lassiter's pick was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job all day long. Really, the whole defensive line, I think, was pretty great. I don't think Cooper Rush had a very fun day, even though, like, if you look at his completion percentage, wasn't terrible, but they made that guy's life fucking terrible. Like, you got to think he thought he had it made when he signed up to back up Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Like, if I play, I got a great team around me, and then you get thrown in there, and that's what happened. So I think either Lassiter or just the defensive line as a unit was fantastic.
Well, what I love about them is I don't know you pay too much attention to PFF, but I do an article on it every week. We have 4 defensive linemen with a 75 rating or higher. Will Anderson's above 90. I mean, it's, and it's like a scouting grade. I don't know if you're familiar with baseball scouting grades. It pretty much runs the same, where if you're a 90, you're basically like the best player at that position in the league. So, I mean, we've got him and Daniel Hunter both over 85. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
No, I think we definitely have one of the best defensive lines in team history, right? And you're looking at a team history that had J.J. Watt. The difference between this current team right now and the ones with J.J. is we never found the other half, right? Like, we were putting Nick fucking Crick out there, or Jared Crick out there, the Ninja Assassin, Antonio Smith on the other side, right?
Whitney
like
Merciless.
But he wasn't the hand in the ground rusher with Watt, right? Yeah. He was the outside linebacker. Or maybe Whitney probably would have been better playing a role like the team plays now, right? Like, I think if Whitney Merciless came in the NFL and played just like Will Anderson, right? Like, played the same position, he probably has a better career than the Texans trying to move him to outside linebacker in a 3-4. Like, I will go down believing that. But also, this is just like, you have 2 legitimate pass rushers on each side of the ball. The Texans never did that before. You had J.J. Watt, and then, by committee, because Watt had so much attention, other guys would have success. But you didn't have 2 guys who could literally feast and go get theirs at any point.
Well, and Settle and Rankins are very highly ranked in the middle. You have who is that? Fotakasi, or who's that other guy? It starts with a T. The Toglai or
I like Futakashi, I think is how. I don't exactly know if I'm saying that right either, but the guy gives you amazing effort.
He's one. The guy, Togai, I think, is another guy. And then you got Denico Autry coming back. He was just, put back, released for practice. And so I'm imagining he'll be back after the bye. So there's and you had Derek Barnett, who's not a bad third pass rusher. And then you have that guy they got from the Bears, who's actually pretty good. So it's not only that you have 4 guys, you really have 8 guys that could all get after it.
And I this might be crazy. It feels crazy. Pardon me. It feels crazy saying it. I think the defense has gotten better since Matt Book started calling plays. I think the team as a whole is better because of D'Amico's attention not being solely focused on the defense. But I really like what I've seen in the last 2 weeks. I think obviously the point to be made that one was against a rookie quarterback with a terrible setup, and the other one was against a backup quarterback and the most injured team in the NFL. However, guy called a great game 2 weeks in a row, and I don't feel like we missed a step. In fact, I feel some of the play calls were even better. It was less basic. It was a little more exotic, and I love it. I think it was such you had Tim D'Amico for it last week. I think it was the right call, and I just think the defense is more exotic with Matt Burke calling plays than when D'Amico was. I feel like D'Amico was more like, here's what we're doing, come and fucking beat us. Where I think Matt Burke hides coverages a little bit better.
Well, it's complementary football, because, when you're up by 26 points, you're up by 34 points, that really opens up the defensive playbook for you. And when you know what your opponent's going to do, it's easier to dial up blitzes and things like that. So I don't know how much of it's a Matt Burke thing and how much of it is just the Ravens. You caught the Ravens at the exact right moment, because you know that they are still the Vegas betting favorite to win the AFC North.
I mean, that's crazy. But then when you look at the AFC North and what a shit show it is, outside of somehow the Aaron Rodgers led Pittsburgh Steelers, would you think it's crazy if Lamar Jackson came back next week and they won out? Would you be shocked?
No, I wouldn't be. But I think they're probably going to end up firing their defensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator kind of looks like what Nick Caley did after week 3, where you're like, dead man walking. This is dead man walking on the Green Mile. that kind of thing. But yeah, but I think if you could sit there and say Matt Burke is as good as D'Amico, that still opens up D'Amico to pay attention to the rest of the operation, and to make sure, when he's sitting in offensive meetings, he can say, okay, what the fuck are you doing here? Why are you doing this? Maybe you should try this. I'm a defensive coordinator, right? Ask me how defenses would react to this. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing. I have some concerns maybe of losing Burke now, right? The last couple of years with D'Amico calling the plays, I don't think there was ever the fear as much of Matt Burke being poached. But if he calls plays the rest of the year and the defense stays like this all year, and the defense have been like this for 3 years, at what point is Matt Burke going to start getting those interviews that people maybe thought Bobby Slowick was going to get?
I think that's true, but I think at the same time, it's kind of like having an offensive head coach. When you lose an offensive coordinator, like when Sean McVay loses one of his guys, Sean McVay just calls plays. And so if D'Amico Ryans loses Matt Burke, he just goes back to calling defensive plays.
But we just said how much we liked him being able to focus on the whole team.
Right. But I'm saying it's not like if, think about if Bobby Slowick had gotten a head coaching job after year 1. And you'd be like, oh, shit, we got to hire another offensive coordinator for, C.J. Stroud in year 2. And, you're switching offenses. And now you're doing it again anyway, because your head coach doesn't have that Rolodex of offensive minds that he can choose from.
You're not wrong. If the last name isn't Kubiak or Shanahan, I don't think he knows who to call in that scenario. He could call Clint. He could call Gary. He could call Kyle. Maybe Mike McDaniels if he gets fired this year.
Oh yeah, Mike McDaniels is dead coach walking. And actually, do you think? What about? I'm blanking on his name, but the Giants head coach, Daboll, as his offensive coordinator.
I don't think we have the right quarterback for him.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of there's
He likes a physical runner. I think as a quarterback, right? You look at what he's done with Josh Allen, and now the success that even Dart is having with him. Those are similar kind of quarterbacks. 6'3", 6'4", lower your shoulder, run for a first down. Do you want CJ being that guy?
no, but I think there's plenty of other offensive minds who are former head coaches that but right now, obviously, if you're looking at what we call the stages of suck, I think Kaylee has turned it around for now. I think Stroud has turned it around for now. I think D'Amico Ryan's stock is way up. So that only leaves Caserio. And, what would you like to see him, if anything, do at the deadline?
Another back. I think we need a legitimate back. A legitimate third down back would be nice. Maybe a backup linebacker or something like that. But outside of that, do you really see a ton of need? Right? Like, I don't think we're gonna go get the center of the future at the trade deadline. I don't think
No.
we're, right? Like, I think the offensive line has gotten better week in and week out. This is the unit that we have for the season. And hey, like, hopefully some of the young guys work out. If not, we've got picks and stuff like that in the offseason. But outside of like that, the secondary looks great. The linebacking core looks good. Defensive line, as you mentioned, is deep. Offensive line has a lot of backups. I mean, if Mixon really is out for the year, probably need another back.
Well, and that's what bothers me about the Mixon situation is not only is he, have they really been mum on him, he hasn't been around the team. And it was a quote unquote non-football injury. So if you're, putting on your Astros brain right now is like, does he even still have a foot?
I'm putting on my Jeff Kent. I was loading my dirt bike into the back of my truck, and I fell hat right now is what I'm
he was
thinking.
washing his truck. I thought that's what he was doing.
That's what he said he was doing. But he was actually like loading his dirt bike up or something like that. And he wasn't supposed to be dirt biking.
So the two names that I keep hearing, Brees Hall, who's going to be a free agent after the season. That would be why the Jets would deal him. And Alvin Kamara, just because the Saints suck and he's an older back. I think he's 30. So if you're those teams, would you take, say, a fifth rounder for either of those guys?
Probably, just because the Saints especially have a young back in Miller that I think they probably want to look a little bit more at.
TCU.
Any compensation is better than him walking. I feel like if we're offering a fifth, someone's going to come in with a fourth. Right? Like, I just feel like a fifth is very low for a guy like Kamara, who he still has stuff in the tank. The Saints just suck.
Maybe, but I think what I think I like, and they offer different things. Brees Hall is obviously younger. He's in year 4, so he's in the prime of his career. But obviously he's in his walk year. So you would just be like, get us through until Mixon comes back. Whereas, and I don't want to give up prime draft compensation for a guy that I'm borrowing for 7 or 8 games. Kamara, I think, is under contract longer. He's also a big time receiving threat out of the backfield. I just don't know how much tread is left on those tires.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a concern, but I think he is more what's needed right now. I think between Marks and Nick Chubb, like, you could produce what you would get for Brees Hall between those two guys. But again, we're truly missing that scat back or the wheel route up the side of the field kind of guy, or Darren Sproles. We don't have him, and now I don't think Kamara is Darren Sproles, but I do think that that's just an added weapon that you could have that I don't think we have right now.
I think Marks is that guy that could do those wheel routes. I think he's shown that if they will trust him. My bigger concern is, number one, Damian Pierce is more worthless than tits on a boar hog. And what worries me is you are hoping that a guy on a surgically repaired knee and foot will hold up for 17 games plus, and that a rookie will come up big. That to me, now both of those things could happen, but what are the odds of both of those things happening for 17 games? So to me, my biggest fear is, okay, let's say Nick Chubb goes down again. What's your option? You going to go Dare Abungawale?
No.
Is that your option? And so to me, making that deal before the deadline for one of those two guys, it's not that neither Marks or Chubb can't do what they do. It's just that if you have any desire to go further in the playoffs, you can't be banking on just those two guys.
No, I agree with you. If this was supposed to be the year the Texans take the next step, and running back to me is the position, especially in the playoffs. We want to milk clock, hold a lead, whatever. If you're not healthy there, come playoff time, this team's in trouble. So I do tend to agree with you on that point, and I do tend to agree that either one of those guys would be good. Breece Hall, you can probably acquire a little bit cheaper, and as you said, is off the books next year. I think Kamara is probably a better fit offensively, but probably is going to take a little bit more to get him. And then again, you've got two expensive backs on your payroll next year with Mixon and Kamara. And so now you have decisions to make in the offseason.
Yeah, which obviously I think in that case, Chubb would be, bye-bye.
Oh, he's only on a one-year deal, I believe.
Right. Chubb's only on a one-year deal. So you're not bringing him back if you bring in Kamara.
Well, speaking of decisions, Scott, some decisions were made today, and we're going to call it, I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones guy, we're going to call it the Orange Wedding, okay? There was some blood spilled down there at Dyken Park today, and it was the blood of our enemies, okay? These were the guys that we wanted out. Cintrone, gone. Snitker, gone. Head trainer, gone. Assistant GM, gone. Don't know about that one.
Catching coach.
Coach, gone. I don't know about you, but I was obviously disappointed. Didn't make the playoffs. I'm a fan. But you and I literally talked for 2 to 3 months how this team was not built to compete in the playoffs. We were going to go there and we were going to get knocked out in the first round. So instead of doing that and pushing all this off another year, because if the Astros sneak in, they're going to just talk about what a great job Espada did, all the injuries, all that shit. None of these changes happen, in my opinion. We had to, unfortunately, bottom out a little bit to make some changes and hopefully use the last bit of Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa's career and make another push.
I know you had a little song prepared, Tim.
Yes. Let me pull those lyrics up.
But I wanted to, the point that I wanted to make is I don't know what Alex Cintrone or Snicker was telling the guys. We don't know that. They could have been telling them to be selective. The point is that whatever message they were giving wasn't effective. And I've been a coach, Tim. I've had teams where they bought into what I was selling and we played well. And I've had teams that didn't buy into what I was selling and it didn't work. Does it mean that I was selling the wrong thing? No. It just, I wasn't the right fit for that team.
Well, we could definitely say Cintrone was not the right fit for this team based on, I think Jesus Sanchez is a perfect example of like the numbers he was putting up in Miami and then what he did once he got here, which was a below the Mendoza line performance. But before we get there, I put together a couple lines based on my excitement that seeing Alex Cintrone no longer be a part of this team. So this is the offense will come out next year. The offense will come out next year. Bet your bottom dollar that next year there'll be runs. Just thinking about next year gets away all the stranded runners and the shutouts. It'll be fun. Next year, I love you. Next year, you're only 168 days away.
Yes, yes, indeed. And less if you're listening to this podcast after tonight when it's released. All right.
Now,
So
I'm no Weird Al, but I was just so excited to be scrolling through
I was,
Facebook on my lunch break and
you
see
were
that.
you were thinking Annie. I was thinking ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, ding dong, the wicked witch is dead.
Either way, we're musical guys, right?
But
We had a couple of classic Broadway hits ready to go lined up.
but I was so here's my question, Tim. I think all of those firings make perfect sense, except for the assistant GM. I don't have no idea what he was doing.
Yeah,
I
we
can't.
don't know his responsibilities.
I can't speak intelligently to his job performance. But would you stop with just the head trainer?
No, I spoke earlier that anyone who touched a clipboard, cleaned a room, answered the phone at the doctor's office. I don't care what your involvement was with the Houston Astros medical staff, you're out. But we also don't know. Like you could cut ties with his team doctor, and I don't think that's going to be public information to you.
Not unless they're on payroll, I guess. I mean, I guess if you're paying them for services rendered, but like if you're paying them a salary saying like you're our team doctor. But I guess, you got to have to ask a question because there were two guys, I think, in my opinion, who we can definitely say were mishandled. I think directly we can say Jake Myers was mishandled when he was allowed to go out there and test. Was it the hamstring or the calf? I can't remember which one it was. And then has to be pulled out on a stretcher. And then you have Jordan with the broken hand taking batting practice. Oh, we forgot to x-ray it. Well, shit, I mean, are you just going to go to Pecos Bill, the town drunk underneath the freeway bridge, have him stare at it and go, yeah, look good to me.
I think Paredes was mishandled.
I think Luis Garcia was.
Luis Garcia was mishandled. I mean,
McCullers
was mishandled. We can go back to last year. Kyle Tucker was mishandled.
Oh, sure.
This is more. Yes, this year you can specifically say we know two guys were mishandled. I think it's three. I think Luis Garcia is a great one because his numbers in his rehab starts never looked back, right? Like the velocity was never where it was when he went down. And someone there said, we need to move forward with him regardless of what the numbers are showing.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that's a head trainer making that call. I mean, I think the head trainer probably is more directly responsible for Myers. Going out there and warming up and oh shit, now I gotta come out on a stretcher because I can't even walk back to the dugout. Yeah, it's a comedy of errors, and I find it hard to believe it's only that guy. That's the only thing and I got more coming on this situation later that I'm going to talk about.
I'm curious though, Scott, like when you hire a new head trainer, is it his job to bring in his own staff, right? Like, hey, I like to work with this doctor. Hey, I like to work with these rehabs. But I'd be curious if like bringing in a new head trainer means that a lot of these other things are going to get changed out because you kind of see to the trainer's preferences on who he likes to work with.
Yeah, I think there's part of that, but then I think also, and this is what kills me, is that you can't find me a better network of hospitals.
No. The Houston Medical Center is where you want to be.
And so to me, how you're able to sit there and go like, well, we didn't know about his hand. I mean, where are you taking him? I mean, are you sitting there going like, let's fly to Lubbock and see if we can find a doctor there? I mean, what are you doing? I mean,
they had an app on their phone that doubled as an X-ray scanner, not realizing that it was a fake app.
I mean, but I think definitely firing the hitting coaches was warranted. I don't know that the catchers were necessarily bad, but it wasn't good. So, that's,
I mean, pop times are terrible. Yiner's pop time is fucking awful. He's terrible behind the plate. He was unworkable with arguably your ace, right? Depending on how you viewed Fromber and Hunter Brown going into the season, at least, right? He couldn't catch Fromber. Literally, your starting catcher could not catch one of the best pitchers in baseball. That's a problem. And I don't know about you. To me, as a guy who played catcher for a long time, Yiner's getting worse. Like, Yiner is a lazy fucking catcher. He does not do the fundamentals well. He does not frame pitches well. He does not call good games. He's not Pudge. He's not Salvi. He's not Brad Ausmus. He's not Mike Matheny, right? Like, I think Mike Piazza was a better defensive catcher than him.
The numbers actually came out having him look better than what you think. But to me, this is where you're going to have to show some balls from the very beginning. And there's one guy who should be on speed dial right now for that position.
This is the only time I want Brad Ausmus on a coaching staff.
Well, no, I'm not thinking him. I'm thinking Martin Machete.
I don't. If I'm making that call, and if I'm asking a guy who just gave up the lifestyle, right, to not enjoy retirement and to sign back up for a 162 game season, I feel like for a guy like Machete, you've got to come with a better offer than catching coach.
Well, I think what you're doing there is you're getting them on staff, and most of those guys have to toil in the minors. So you're basically telling them you don't have to ride a bus. You're going to get chartered flights, and you didn't fire your bench coach, but maybe that's where you sit there and say, we can elevate you after this, first season, to the bench coach role. Or there's a guy in house that if you want to break free from Espada, he's the first guy that you interview to replace him.
I don't mind it. I don't. Is there any team that has two bench coaches?
I don't know if there are limits to your coaching staff. That's a interesting rule that I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask that at the next Sabre meeting.
I mean, for example, the Rangers have an offensive, or they had an offensive coordinator, right? And then they had multiple hitting coaches, right? And the Astros have multiple pitching coaches now. They had multiple hitting coaches. Obviously those changes to staffs have been made as time goes on. I'd wonder if you could have an assistant bench coach, and maybe that's the catching coach / assistant bench coach would be maybe what I call it. But I agree with you. I'd take Martin Maldonado in a heartbeat. But I also I wouldn't mind him being just assistant bench coach and then hiring a Brad Ausmus to be the catching coach, because as good as Machete was, Ausmus was better. I'm sorry. You put both those prime guys up next to each other, I think Ausmus was better.
Machete was probably a better at controlling the running game when he was at his best. Then he was better than Ausmus, I think, in that regard. But
Ausmus was a better pitch receiver, though.
Probably better at managing a game, and
I would give those guys, I would say that's a push. I think they both researched unbelievably well, right? Ausmus was no different than Machete when it came to preparation for the other team. I think I'd give them a push there. But I think Ausmus, nothing got by that guy. Machete had a pass ball issue even in his prime. And I think Ausmus threw really well. I'd have to go back and look at his numbers, but Machete
he wasn't bad at throwing. I'm just saying Machete, when he was at his best, I would say circa 2021, maybe 22. I think by the time 23 came around, he was done. But here's the thing that gets me, and this is why I would make a move like that, is that The Athletic came out with an article where they were ranking the managerial openings. And this was before they announced Espada coming back. And I don't know see what you think of this. They had Houston as the 6th best opening.
I would think I'm a homer. I'm biased, whatever you want to say. To me, if this was open, it's the number one opening.
But I have to, unfortunately, I don't subscribe to the Athletics. So I couldn't read the article, but I would have to wonder if part of that is due to the way that the organization runs its business, so to speak. Because talent-wise, you can't tell me that a Colorado Rockies job is better than, I mean, you can't tell me that, the Angels, oh yeah, I want to be an Angel. No, that's not happening. But I have to wonder how much meddling goes on in like the day-to-day, and maybe that's what it is. And to me, having a coach like a Machete or like an Osmus that's in-house, if you want to break free from Espada, then having that guy in-house is a nice luxury, or you can just sit there and say, you're the interim or you're just the next guy.
I don't disagree. I don't want Osmus as my manager at any point. That is not so. Like, there was a time right after he retired where I was all for Brad Osmus being the manager of the Houston Astros. Right, then he goes to Detroit. Does not work out there. I think of the Angels. He had a year there. Didn't work out there.
Nobody works out there.
No one works out there, but there was nothing I saw from his tenures that made me think like, yeah, I want this guy to be my manager. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, if you wanted him as part of the pitching staff team or again, catching coach or things like that, where you can help those guys prepare for their starts and do the research and the data and all that other stuff that Brad Osmus does well. Yeah, I'm signing me up. I'm all for it. I don't want him making the lineups, the bullpen decisions, the pinch hitting decisions, things like that. Like, I saw some questionable choices when he had some good Detroit teams.
Yeah, that's true. Machete definitely, though, is a guy that I would love to have in-house.
Yeah. I'm curious if catching coordinator or manager or whatever you want to call it is a position that gets him to answer the phone. That would just be my one concern with that.
And then, of course, with the hitting coaches, do you see future managerial possibilities in either Brantley or Berkman?
Brantley, you have to, right? Like, that guy just screams baseball guy. Like, that's a Terry Francona to me, right? Like, one of those guys that you can just see being around the game forever if he wants to. Like, I don't know if that's what he wants, but he got the nickname Uncle Mike from essentially being the de facto hitting coach of this team for 4 years, where like everybody came to him for hitting advice. I just feel like he's one of those guys who loves talking about hitting, who loves talking about baseball. Like, those guys exist. Like, the ones who are really, really good, ask him a question about hitting and you'll just sit there and listen for 30 minutes. You know, when he was alive, you ask Tony Gwynn a question about hitting, you just sit there, shut the fuck up, and he's going to give you 30 amazing minutes.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about that is I think Ted Williams was that guy who would talk about hitting, but Ted Williams as a manager sucked. So I would worry, like, I think hitting coach is definitely a lane that I think Brantley would succeed in. Not sure about managing.
I think that's obviously a ways down the road, right? Like, I don't think Brantley's going to be offered a major league manager spot today. I don't see that happening. I do think he's going to get offers for hitting coach, regardless if it's the Astros or not. And then depending on how he handles something like that, and what the clubhouse vibe is, and what the front office perception of Brantley is from that point forward, right? Like, baseball is a little bit different than, say, football, right? Like, if he was a young hotshot offensive coordinator, came in and the offense put up numbers for 2 seasons, you almost expect him to be gone, right? But if he comes in as the Astros hitting coach and they hit for 2 seasons, you don't necessarily expect guys to just poach Michael Brantley because the Astros offense was good.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right that pitching coach and hitting coach, I don't think you see that many guys make the jump to manager.
No, it's more of the bench coaches or former major league catchers, base coaches. But yeah, I want to talk just a little bit about the Rockets preseason, Scott, before we get into our awards segment of the show, because I've titled this segment "Holy Efficiency, Batman," because the Rockets, quote unquote, stars or starters, whatever you want to call it, are being unbelievably offensively efficient through the first couple preseason games. Sengun had, I think it was like 23 points in 19 minutes the other night. Amen Thompson on Wednesday had 19 points in 17 minutes, I think it was. And then Durant had 17 in 15 minutes. I mean, I know it's the preseason. I get it. But these guys look in rhythm already.
Well, yeah, I think Durant ended up with 20 and 23 minutes, I think, was the account. No, what I think is even more encouraging is Sengun has 20 assists in 2 games. I mean, and he's not even playing full minutes. What also was encouraging is Steven Adams looked like he was in midseason form in the first game. Clint Capella looks like he's at least ready to contribute. So you got backup big, sewed up really well. Tari Eason looks like he's close to midseason form. And you don't even have Finney Smith healthy yet. So what is he going to give you when he comes back?
I think, especially with the way that Sengun is moving the basketball in the half-court offense, we're going to see a lot more of 2 big lineups, right? We're going to see a combo of Sengun and either Adams or Capella, and you're going to see no point guard lineups, right? I think we've seen a little bit of it, or at least Ime has talked about, where he's going to play Bari and Durant and Alpi and Amen all together, right? Like those guys are 4 of the 5 starters, and right now it's up to either Reed Shepherd or Steven Adams to show if it's going to be them. I'm a lot less concerned about the point guard injury right now than I was on this show last week, just based on, like you said, the way Sengun's moving the ball, the offensive efficiency we've seen so far, and just maybe some of the growth of Amen Thompson as a third-year player, maybe understanding when to slow it down a little bit and when to just go balls to the wall. Because I think Tasmanian Devil might be a great way to describe him at times, but like he just gets himself spun up a little bit too much sometimes. And if he could just let that game slow down just a little bit, he's going to be unbelievably dangerous as your quote unquote point forward, right? Like imagine, because before Ben Simmons lost his mind, he was a very effective player at the point for the 76ers. He just suddenly became a bitch.
And he couldn't shoot.
It was after that remember he had like a chance for a game-winning layup and he passed it up, and then the media just lit into him and he was never the same player after that.
You remember that GIF I showed you of the guy shooting threes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's Ben Simmons. They were making that same point on the radio today about Amen Thompson, about how he pushes the ball more than Fred VanVleet has, and I think Fred VanVleet's more of a natural half-court point guard. I think we put the nail on the head last week when we talked about how many games when Fred VanVleet was out were we up by like 10 points with like 5 minutes left, and all we needed was somebody to just
slow it down
and get good shots, and we were too helter-skelter and end up blowing the lead.
Amen is great in the break, right? Like,
oh yeah,
on the fast break, I want the ball in his hands and I want him making the decision. The problem is in the NBA, not every chance to run is a fast break, right? Like sometimes you want to get across half court and just stop and chill for like 5 to 10 seconds and let the clock go down, or let your players move around the court. Let's do a little motion offense. Let's run a fucking pick and roll. Let's do anything other than just try and beat people down the court with our speed. And then you get down there and it's like a 1-on-4. And instead of, again, slowing it back down, you try and force up a bad shot in a 1-on-4 scenario. Happened countless times last year. I will say, through 2 preseason games, it looks better this year.
Yeah, it is awesome. But then again, it's the Utah Jazz and the Atlanta Hawks. don't let's not get carried away here. I want to see what happens when you're playing the Oklahoma Cities, the Minnesotas, even teams like the Lakers and Golden State. I want to see what happens when you play those teams, because those teams are all veteran teams that know how to slow you down.
I think the one benefit of that, or the one benefit of the Rockets roster this year, if Durant calls for the basketball, says, I want the ball, I'm bringing it up the court, everyone's going to give it to him in that scenario, right? Like fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, Amen gets a rebound and goes to run, and Durant says, ball. Ball's going to Durant, right? And Durant's going to jog that shit up the court. So I think maybe the aura and the star power of a Kevin Durant is what this roster needed, in terms of just like, hey, it's my time, right? 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, cede the fucking basketball to me and let me make every decision.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Tim.
Is it award time, Scott?
I think it might be.
All right. Who are we punching this week, Scott? Pow, right in the kisser.
I am going to punch a frequent winner of this award. I'm going to punch one Jim Crane. And here's why. How did we hear that Joe Espada and Dana Brown were coming back?
I got it through Brian McTaggart.
Was there a press release?
No.
So to me, why are you allowing your general manager, who's been on the job for 3 years, and your manager who's been on the job for 2 years, to twist in the wind? What are we doing? And I think what he's doing is he's talking to Bagwell, he's talking to Biggio, maybe he's talking to Osmus. I don't think Reggie Jackson's around anymore to advise. But you're talking to all these guys who are, has-beens, who are like, this is how we used to do it. They get on down there, get. Dana Brown has not had enough time to put his stamp on this team. Even if his drafts were the best drafts in Major League Baseball history, they're not going to bear fruit in 3 years. That's not going to happen. And you had a manager, right or wrong, who dealt with, I think it was a Fangraphs or Baseball Prospectus, said that they lost more wins on the DL than any other team. More WAR went on the disabled list. They estimated, I think, 22 WAR was on the disabled list over the course of the year. Now, in terms of what we won 87 games, which was right around what most prognosticators said that we were going to win. So somehow your manager got you through to win what experts thought you were going to win, even though you lost estimated. I mean, do you think 20 wins is a ridiculous sum?
Talent-wise, no. I don't think we win 20 more games.
Oh, no. I'm not saying we win 107
I think
games.
realistically, 94, 95 wins wouldn't have been out of the question if Jordan plays the whole season.
Well, and then, of course, Jake Myers doesn't miss time. Jeremy Pena doesn't miss time. All of your pitchers don't miss time. So I think when you add it up, probably losing Hader cost you probably 2 games.
Minimum.
And, just with games that Abreu blew, directly. So I think 10 games is not out of the question. And if this team won 97 games after losing Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman, we'd be throwing that guy a fucking parade. Because not only would we, be in the playoffs, we would have the number 1 seed. And I think that's what part of the point is, that this team needs to realize, and what fans of this team needs to realize is that, yes, we were out of the playoffs, but we were 5 or 6 games separated from the top seed in the league. Because I think that ended up being the Blue Jays, which, by the way, you were 4-2 against the Blue Jays this year. Just saying. So you tell me, Tim, What, did he deserve to hang in the wind? Did Dana Brown deserve to hang in the wind?
No. I'm curious how much they actually did hang in the wind, Scott. Like, I really am curious if maybe this was something internally they had wrapped up 2 or 3 days ago and we just didn't. I don't know. But I am with you that there should have been a press conference and it should have never even come to this point. There was no, other than you could say, okay, did we collapse down the stretch? Sure. But again, we lost Hader. Jordan went back out. There were so many things that happened that last month that were out of Espada's control. Like, I had zero desire to fire Joe Espada at the end of the season. Really didn't. Same with Dana Brown. Everybody else that got axed, you and I both came on this podcast last week, minus that AGM, and said, you got to fucking go. There was like, hey, no hard feelings, but this is a job and you didn't do your job well enough. You're going to get fired at the end of the day. And those guys that got fired didn't do the job well enough. I think Espada did his job well enough. And I think what we've seen from Dana Brown to this point has been a pretty good job. Like, could we have gotten another arm this year at the trade deadline? Sure. But you had every reason not to, based on price and what you expected to come back healthy after the end of July.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted something, a more definitive statement. I'm sure internally they made that call, but to me, you have to have a little bit of awareness of what's going on around the team. And what's going around the team is people speculating. I think those guys deserve a firm statement of they're coming back. They're our guys.
I think you're totally right. All right, Scott. I'm looking at what I had. I'm going to stay with what I sent for my pal right in the kisser. I want to punch. You can say it's theoretically whatever you want. I want to punch Speaker of the House Mike Johnson right in the fucking face, man. To stand there and just lie about why we're shutting down the government is so fucking frustrating. To sit there and say it's because Democrats want billions of dollars for health care for illegal immigrants. That's why the government is shutting down. And it's AOC's fault. I think got thrown in there as well. Can we just stop? Can we just fucking stop? Because those of us that are not stupid enough to believe it are never going to believe it. And the other half are really fucking stupid. And they do believe this shit. And it's getting fucking dangerous. It's getting really, really, really fucking dangerous because you have dumbed down the population. You have dumbed down the American people to a point where they truly believe that Democrats want to give billions of dollars in healthcare coverage to illegal immigrants. That's truly what they think we shut the government down over. And people like a good friend of mine who works for the IRS are now not getting paychecks for God knows how long. We're losing government agencies as Trump literally fucking truths about it in the middle of the night, thanking the Democrats for giving him the power to axe whatever the fuck he wants. And this motherfucker, Mike Johnson, sits there and just bloviates about everything but the truth and does it while claiming to be a Christian. Fuck this guy, man. I truly wish, like, we could have like a Karate Kid type scenario where, remember where Daniel LaRusso did the
the crane.
No, not the crane. Not the crane. I'm talking about at the Halloween dance where Daniel snuck the hose in. So then Johnny's just beating the shit out of him. And he's like, hold him up. He needs more. Like, that's what I want. I want a bunch of guys in skeleton costumes holding up Mike Johnson while I just fucking wail on him. That's what's needed right now in America.
Well, let me add.
Dressed up like a member of the Cobra Kai, kicking Mike Johnson's ass.
Let me add to that, Tim. We have a representative, newly elected representative from Arizona, who is not being seated. And the story about why she hasn't been seated has changed 3 times now. When it started off, well, I'm waiting for official results. Okay, official results came in. Well, I don't want to do it, when nobody's here. So I want to wait till everybody gets back. Oh, well, that didn't fly. Well, really, it's up to her when she wants to be seated. I don't think she's sitting there going like, Yeah, seat me next Tuesday. That's fine. I'm not in a hurry. But what the fuck are we doing? And you know why they're not seating her, Tim?
Because she's a Democrat, it gives them an advantage.
She's the 218th vote to discharge the Epstein files.
So yeah, gives them an advantage.
And so, and here's my thing on the shutdown. We're going to call it the AOC shutdown. We're going to call it the Chuck Schumer shutdown. We're going to call it, whatever Democrat you want to throw in there. Who controls the House of Representatives, Tim?
Right now, it would be the Republicans.
Who controls the Senate, Tim?
That'd be the Republicans.
Who controls the White House, Tim?
That'd be the fascists.
Who controls the courts?
Far-right billionaires who buy stuff for people to get whatever they want.
So this reminds me of, our own state where they're like, well, Texas is a hellhole because of the Democrats. And it's like, guys, you've held every statewide position for 30 years. You hold every lever of government. How is this a Democratic shutdown? Somebody explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because the only thing I have is a poli-sci degree, and I can't understand that drivel. Somebody explain that to me.
Makes zero sense. But sadly, again, this goes back to my comment of dumbing down American people. There's a lot of people who truly believe that, like, Democrats are fucking stuff up in Texas. Like, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people honestly believe that. When there has not been a Democratic governor since Ann fucking Richards when I was like 4. I believe is when she left office in 1994. Maybe even 92. But it was fucking
94. I think, yeah.
94?
I think so.
So 31 years of a Republican governor, okay? And Texas has become less, quote-unquote, Texas than it's ever been in its entire life since we were part of Mexico. When we were Tejas, okay? The limited government, being a Texan, taking care of your... Do you remember the Don't Mess with Texas littering campaign? Fuck that. Mess with Texas all you want. Now you want to burn down a national forest to build a supercharger station? Fuck yeah, go for it, Texas. We love business here. You want to destroy the environment to build a Tesla factory? Fuck, come on, Elon. Come on down, baby. But hey, don't litter. Don't litter.
Yeah. All right, Tim. Moving on to some positive folks.
No, we're not positive yet. We've got horse's ass.
Oh, we got a horse's ass. All right. I am going to go with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, you fucker. Okay, go ahead. You stole it from me. I gave it to you. Oh, man.
Sorry, I thought I'd forgotten you taking that one. What the fuck? We can do a tag team here, Tim.
We should.
What the fuck was that? I mean, have you watched any of the Chad Powers?
Not yet. It's on my. I want all of it to be out so I can just watch it.
So I'll just give you the first scene here, Tim. He's quarterbacking Oregon, and it's 31-31 with 30 seconds left in the game. And they've already been announcing like that he's been suspended this year. He's gotten in trouble with the law. It's been kind of a rough year for him. So he takes the snap. He evades like 15 tacklers, even though there's only 11 guys allowed on the field. And he's running for the end zone, clear touchdown, drops the ball at the 1-yard line, pulls in, takes off his helmet. He's celebrating. Georgia picks up the ball, runs it to the house. They win 38-31. But it's not over there yet, Tim. You get this disabled kid who's God. Hey, you're my favorite player. You're my favorite player. So the guy's dad's like, hey, man, this guy, my kid is, talking to you. And the guy, he started off polite. I don't want to talk right now. The guy kept going like, hey, just, say hello to my kid. So he ends up punching the guy, and the guy falls backwards over his son who's wheelchair bound and knocks him out of his wheelchair. And this is all caught on camera. So that's why.
So that's why he has to go with the new identity?
That's why he has to go with the new identity, because a story came out 5 years later that the kid had died.
Oh,
and so he
God.
becomes radioactive. So how many times are guys going to drop the ball at the 1 yard line until it's like, guys, just score the damn touchdown. You score the touchdown, you're up 28-6. Titans aren't coming back from that.
No.
How do you throw an interception, fumble it,
Just give up a touchdown on the play?
and that must be a touchdown? How the hell does that happen?
That was so the dropped would-be touchdown as you going in was one thing, but to literally pick off a quarterback on what should have iced the game, and instead that same play, the interception, is what brought them back into the game because you somehow fumbled the return into the end zone. I mean, like a fucking 7th grade Pee-wee team could have put that game away easier than the fucking Cardinals did. And then you go viral because your head coach is punching the fucking running back after he dropped the ball. Like, it's a great week to be an Arizona Cardinal. I want to name one more horse's ass since you
all right.
went with the
Sorry about
Cardinals.
that.
It's okay. I did so. I guess this one's on me. I mentioned them in text, and then in the rundown I said a different one. So I'll go with the one I sent in the rundown, which is the New York Yankees. Scott, once again eliminated from postseason play, and for the second time in a row, you can't blame your Houston Astros for the reason why you didn't win the World Series. But here you are again with Aaron Judge. He hit a big home run in their one win in this series, but again, like, postseason Aaron Judge is a thing, Scott. Like, it is not the same baseball player, and it's. I think it's more exaggerated when he plays the Astros in the postseason than other teams, but for a guy that does what he does during the regular season for this team, like, he just does not have the ability to put them on his back the way he does in the regular season.
Well, then you had, I can't remember who this guy was, but one of these talking heads was bloviating after game 3. I guarantee the Blue Jays are choking. The Yankees are going to win because, this is what the Blue Jays always do. And it's like, you barely won game 3 and you're down 2-1. Maybe that's not the time to shit talk. Just say it. I don't know.
I could not be happier for a worse group of fans, right? Like, that's just kind of where I'm at. The Yankees have won like 4. I think it's, how many World Series has it been since integration? Like 5, 6 total. Most of their World Series came before black people could play Major League Baseball.
77 and 78, and then the 96, 98, 99, and then 2007, I think.
So 5.
2000, 98, 99, 2000, 96, 2007, and 77, 78.
That's okay. So
that's more than most teams.
But you're not like, I hate the 27. Oh, we got 20. How many you got? 27. 20 of them came before black people could even fucking play in the league, right? Like, chill out. Chill the fuck out, okay? The Astros are your daddy. You need to admit that. Maybe when you finally admit that, you'll have some postseason success. But again, Yankees are horses' asses. Somehow I bet Aaron Boone still keeps his job, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure. And Cashman.
Cashman should go before Boone. This team is so poorly built. It's ridiculous. All right, let's do some positives. Let's do the cap, Scott. Who do you have?
I went to watch TCU play, and it was a hell of a game. The defense did not play particularly well against the Deion Sanders coached Colorado Buffs, but Josh Hoover, 4 touchdown passes, a rushing touchdown, and a Rosencopter first down late in the game to clinch it. And unlike the actual Rosencopter, he held on to the ball. And what was great about that drive, though, was we were sitting there debating because we were up by 7. And there's like 30 seconds to go. And we're like, okay, do you kick the field goal to go up 10? Or do you go for it, try to get the first down, and, let the clock run out? Hoover's like, fuck it. I'm just throwing it to McAllister for his second touchdown of the game. McAllister's going to be a wide receiver in the league next year. He is a beast. But yeah, great gutsy performance from Josh Hoover. And I had some obnoxious Colorado Rocky fans that threw some beer on me during the game. They apologized, but they were still obnoxious. But shut them the fuck up.
I was not aware that there were any Colorado Rocky fans.
Well, they were in attendance.
I think they just like the hats. That would be my guess. I wouldn't say they're real Rockies fans. They're just from Colorado, and they thought the Rockies had a nice live.
Oh, no, the Buffs, not the Rocks. Not the Rockies.
Oh, okay. You said Rockies. That's why I was like, I don't think the Rockies have any fans,
no.
Scott.
They were wearing overalls. They weren't wearing any hats.
They were wearing overalls. Oh, man. I love TCU Stadium. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility. The back of Fort Worth behind you, the campus on the other side. Great time. I also had a wonderful time this weekend, Scott. I took the wife up to a little, call it redneck chic, up on Lake Texoma. Went to Tanglewood Golf and Spa Resort. And I'll be honest, the trip didn't get off to a great start. I went out there with her on Friday. The round of golf took fucking forever. The course allows, I guess, members and people who are vacationing there to play. And like multiple members just like drove in front of me at different points because they were tired of waiting. But like we were waiting as well, but they just cut in front of us and made it worse. Then tried to order some food on property. The restaurant's supposed to be open till 10. It's 9:45. And they're like, oh, we close at 10. I'm like, that's great. I've got 15 minutes. I'd love to order a burger. They're like, chef went home.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. So I wrote an email and got a also sub hat tip to ChatGPT for putting together a wonderful email for me. I get a call next morning, literally like immediately, to come meet the manager down in the lobby. She hands me this hat, a matching pink one for my wife, $150 gift card to dinner for that night, a $50 gift card to the golf course's 19th hole for lunch, 2 more rounds of golf that were $100 a pop, a charcuterie board for us to enjoy after golf, a bottle of wine to enjoy with the charcuterie board, and then she goes, by the way, the golf course will have something for you when you get down there. I told my wife, hey, maybe it's a sleeve of Pro Vs. That'd be cool. I get down there, I check in. He points to the Pro V1 display, and he goes, pick out any dozen you want. You want the X's? Do you want the left dash? I said, just regular Pro V1s are fine for me, sir.
Oh,
so this place took what could have been a negative and made it an unbelievably positive experience. And I truly believe that when places are given that opportunity and they take it and they do that for someone and, hey, we're going to make sure this guy has a great time. Not only will I be back, I'll tell everybody else about this place because it was absolutely gorgeous. Felt like you were in like 1987. And it was just like it was not clean. It was very clean. It wasn't dirty, but it was just like, it literally felt like 1987. And it was just a great time. Great for the wife and I to get away from our beautiful children. We love them to death, but fuck if we don't want a little peace of quiet every now and then.
Well, as somebody who's actually lived in 1987,
you'd probably love it.
I want to check it out to see if it actually looks like 1987.
You'll recognize the carpet and the wood paneling pretty quickly.
Oh.
All right, Scott.
Okay.
Let's get negative and let's do it fast.
All right. I'm probably I'm trying to step on some generic toes here and not specific toes. You probably have specific receipts, but the ignorance of this country is just, it's overwhelmingly, as you mentioned before. Let me ask you something here, Tim. Who's the president of Puerto Rico?
Well, there is no president of Puerto Rico, Scott, because it's a territory of the United States. So I guess you could technically say it's Trump, but
It is.
there is no president. There is no president of Puerto Rico.
It is. The president over Puerto Rico is Donald Trump. They are Americans. So when Bad Bunny gets selected to be, to perform in the Super Bowl, and you've got all these people, we got to have Americans. Well, okay, let's back up a step here. Shakira has performed at the Super Bowl. Where's she from, Tim?
I don't know. She speaks Spanish. I don't know a lot about Shakira other than she shakes her ass a lot. Looks good when she does it.
She's not from the United States.
No.
Jennifer Lopez. Where's she from?
You're making me look very ignorant here. I do not know where Jennifer Lopez is off the top of my head.
I'll make life easier for you here, Tim. Where are the Who from?
England. I got that one.
Where is Paul McCartney from?
England. Rolling Stones are from England too. They did a halftime show.
So why are we all of a sudden this guy from Puerto Rico? He's not American. He can't. Okay. Even if we're going to grant people the right to be stupid and not realize that Puerto Rico is actually an American territory, where do we get off going like, well, he shouldn't perform because he's a foreigner? See, I hadn't seemed to have stopped you before. Actually, I think J-Lo is Puerto Rican as well. So I think she's also an American. But Shakira, I believe, is from South America. If I'm correct in there. So, and you asked me this question over text. Why are people objecting to Bad Bunny? And I think
I gave you a reason. I think that it's happening too.
But I think the reason I think what you said, and I think this is probably true, is that people are not cool. But the thing is that I don't know Bad Bunny's music.
I don't either.
I don't listen to Bad Bunny. But does Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl bother me? No,
but we're reasonable human beings.
But see, the thing is that, and here's, let me tell you a little secret whisper into the mic. If you don't want to watch Bad Bunny, change the channel.
Thank you for Turning Point for giving us an option to change it to.
I mean, why do we have to do all this? I'm boycotting. Change the channel. Because the funny thing is I bet the NFL and the networks, I can't remember which network's showing the Super Bowl. Is it Fox? Maybe.
Is it NBC?
Maybe.
I think you're right. I think it's Fox. I think it's Fox at this point.
But I think the executives at Fox, and I think the executives in the NFL, Roger Goodell, are smart enough to track ratings during the game, during halftime, during different stages of the game, to go like, maybe if a bunch of people turn the channel, be like, okay, let's bring back the aging rockers. That's what we need. Let's bring in Pat Boone. I think he's still alive. I think Paul Simon's alive. You want to see Paul Simon? Let's see. Who else do we got? That's really old.
I have Bruce Springsteen on a respirator. Is that something you might?
No. You can't. No, he's woke, Tim. You can't. You can't do.
I've got Kid Rock's head in a jar and the body cryogenically frozen. Is that something I can interest you in?
Well, maybe for MAGA, you might be able to interest them in that. Me personally, no, I've never been much into Kid Rock, but it's just
I've got Kevin Sorbo reading a monologue at the 50-yard line. Is that something I can interest you in? Dean Cain will fly in dressed as Superman,
wearing an ice outfit, where he tries to hop over a wall and he just kind of has to I'm just gonna have to go around.
Fucking the thing will yank him up, and he'll have like a wire. It'll just yank him up in the air.
I'm sorry, but I know you probably were sniffing around this area for your scumbag, so I didn't want to point out any specific talking heads because I know you may have some in mind, but just generic people. Bad Bunny, he's Catholic, and he's from Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States. Okay, those are the facts. If you don't like his music, hey, it's a free country. Listen to what you want. You know, the 60s on 6 is no longer available on XM, but hey, you know, there's 70s on 7. You go rock yourself out.
So what I had said to you was just like, I'm sitting outside enjoying some alone time, and a thought came to me was, I think most of the people who are upset about Bad Bunny don't know who he is and are more pissed about the fact that someone who they don't know who it was chosen than anything else. Then all the other stuff starts, and because America's so fucking dumb, they can be brainwashed. But I think a large portion of this outrage is just like, they chose someone that wasn't for me, right? Like, I'm not the target demographic anymore of the halftime show. Last year it was Kendrick Lamar. This year it's Bad Bunny. Like, I'll be honest with you. The first time I had ever seen Bad Bunny was when he was Happy Gilmore's caddy. That is how I was introduced to Bad Bunny. I'm not ashamed of that. That's not my type of music. I'm not going to really enjoy the halftime show. I'll probably make some food. I'll go out and throw the football. There are plenty of other things I can do for those 20 to 30 minutes that don't mean I need to hop on Facebook and announce I'm boycotting the Super Bowl. Because let's also be honest, that's the number one watched event in America. I want every 10-second screenshots of all these people who said that they're boycotting the Super Bowl. I want you to fucking take a picture of your TV every 10 seconds for 4 hours to show me that you did not watch the Super Bowl. Because I think you're a fucking liar. No one's not going to watch the whole Super Bowl who's a legitimate football fan just because of the halftime performance. This is a game that has been trying to globalize itself for, 10 years? How long have we been playing in London? At least 10. Now
Yeah.
you played in Ireland this year. You played in Munich, Germany. You played a game in Brazil. Like, you were trying to globalize the game of football. And maybe a way to do that is to pick a musician during the halftime show that the globe appreciates.
Yeah. All right. Who you got, Tim?
I am going to go with our orange diaper dandy, Donald Trump himself. During the government shutdown, our fearless leader has been using the opportunity to try and close public agencies. He used Executive Order 14290 to try and close the public broadcasting network. He's trying to get rid of NPR, PBS, CPB. He also used the Rescissions Act of 2025 to take back $1.1 billion in public broadcast funding towards NPR and PBS. He obviously has already gotten rid of USAID. He's gotten rid of VHS or big parts of it. He's gotten huge cuts to HUD, took 50% of their staff away. He's gotten rid of the clean energy portion of the Department of Energy. He's furloughed 34,000 IRS employees. He's essentially breaking the government even worse, bragging about it on social media, and we still fucking do nothing. We do goddamn fucking nothing while this megalomaniac piece of shit hops on Truth to brag about the fact that he is stealing from us, making things worse. And just because he goes, hey, I'm Mullen giving you guys $2,000 over. Oh, you might give us $2,000. You guys hear it? All the fucking tariffs. You're going to give us $2,000. Like, no, he's not. All he said was he's thinking about giving us $2,000. Okay, great. I think about playing for the Astros all the time. It doesn't mean I'm actually going to play for them. But all these people, Scott, are so fucking stupid. And they're still truly believe that this giant orange piece of shit is looking out for them. And the evidence to me is insane just how crazy the world is. I've been rewatching. You know me, I'm a rewatcher of shows. I'm rewatching South Park right now, right? South Park has always been insane. There's always been some just outrageous episodes. But when you look back at, like, I'm literally 10 years ago right now, I just watched the Imagination Land episodes. That season, in particular, season 17, had the world record crap episode. It had the who took a crap in the urinal episode. It had Imagination Land. It had the hot kindergarten teacher sleeping with Ike, and all the cops being like, oh, I'm going to arrest that teacher. Not what a lucky guy, right?
Yeah.
You look at South Park like now, and we literally have to comment every week on what Trump did. They went seasons without ever mentioning a president. They went multiple, like literally George Bush would make a 2-second cameo in one episode. You wouldn't see him again for 2 or 3 years. Obama had they had the great episode where Obama and Michelle Obama and McCain worked together for like the elaborate heist on election night and stuff like that, right? Like, but you didn't have to go to this length to get your message across to people, right? Like, it was more just like, here's some funny stuff happening in the world, and let's make a funny comment on it. We've had to turn that show into, let's make fun of Trump to the point of it gets the message across to anybody. And yes, it's still funny, absolutely. But the tone of the show has shifted because it had to, because of what's being asked of the world today. And somehow we're in a spot where literally, South Park is one of the most accurate forms of political commentary that we have left in the world.
All right. I got 2 things that I need to say here, Tim. Just to add. First, a question. What exactly is a Democrat agency?
The only one I could truly think of would be the National Democratic Party. Would be the only Democratic agency.
We're canceling all these agencies because we're calling them Democrat agencies. What exactly? Okay, and for the love of God, people. Now, I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi. It is the Democratic Party. Not Democrat Party. The Democratic Party. You sound like a fucking idiot. They're Democrats, yes. But it's the Democratic Party. Okay, let me repeat that. It's the Democratic Party, not the Democrat Party. The more you know.
I hope you're listening, Donnie. Scott, before we wrap up the show, we do want to make a big announcement. It's been a minute since we talked about our desire to explore the depths of the ocean using kangaroos. And rightfully so. We had to lay low for a little bit. Things got a little hairy. But now that the government shut down, they don't have the money to come after us anymore. There's no money. So this is the time for us to make a big splash. The Financing Aquatic Kangaroo Exploration will be sponsoring a golfer coming up. We'll have more information on who that golfer will be, but it's a big, big opportunity for us to get our logo on a bag, to have our logo on a shirt, probably a caddy bib, a hat. We spared no expense on this partnership. And when I mean when I say we, I mean all of you. It's not just Scott and I. It's all of our investors. We are so thankful that you gave us this money for us to go out and pick a random golfer. Probably has no relation to the company whatsoever. Again, not ready to talk about who that golfer is. It has very minimal to do with the golf announcement I made earlier about my current handicap. But again, we're just so excited for this golf partnership to get the logos on the bag where there may or may not be TV cameras.
And I would point out, Tim, that did you know, before I'd mentioned it, that the U.S. Public Links champion gets an automatic bid to the Masters?
I didn't know that. And it was you mentioning it that kind of put this sponsorship into motion. You know what? I'll just go ahead and come out and say it. I'm the guy getting sponsored. Okay. It's me, guys. Fake has given me a golf sponsorship so I can go out and compete for the Public Links Championship and try and play my way to Augusta National. Scott has some theories once he caddies for me on how he'll get me mentally ready for that first round. I think it could get me kicked off the course. We'll see, right? Like, I don't think anyone has ever fucking yacked in the azaleas mid-round before, but they could.
Well, here's my thing, Tim. Do we want you to talk about clubs that you don't play.
No.
Do you want you to sit there and say, look at these pinks. Look at these pinks. I don't play them, but I've heard they're good clubs, so why don't you give them a shot? I mean, you can't. But
I've already shown I could do that, Scott. I've shown that I could sell PXG clubs to someone, even though I've never hit a PXG club in my life. Scott, what is your bag full of?
Nice PXGs. Yep.
And who recommended those clubs to you?
That was you. No, but what I was saying
I've never hit one. I've never hit a PXG in my life.
How much more could you sell fake? Because it's a movement you believe in.
Absolutely. And when they see me striding up the fairway with just kangaroos, like what I'm thinking is like a sweater with a bunch of kangaroo, like, just a collage of roos all over, right? Because it's a little chilly in March in Georgia, right? There's some brisk dewy air. I think I could go with the polo coming out with the sweater and then the kangaroo sweater. People are going to say, sir, why do you have kangaroos all over your sweater? And then I'm going to say, because they should be exploring our oceans. Come talk to me about it.
And, maybe we could try like a stick maneuver where we do like a little sting on a guy and get you like a sponsorship into a local tournament before we get you to Augusta.
I should definitely hustle Rory McIlroy. That's a great thought. I think we show up. I'm in jeans, tattered, shirt. I've got like top flight clubs. And then like when I hop into my golf cart, it's a completely different look, right? Like now I'm sharp. I got my Mizunos. I'm playing Pro Vs. Rory didn't ever see it coming.
Okay. Do you think you can outdrive Rory?
No, not even close. I hit an absolute fucking piss missile of a drive this weekend, Scott. It was like my wife was there to attest it. One of the longest drives I've ever hit in my life was 332 yards. That's Rory's cruising at 332, man.
Is there a guy on tour you think you can outdrive?
Yeah.
You walk up to that guy in your getup and you just say, well, I just started lifting weights. I can't really lift this bar very high. Do you think you could have a driving contest with me? I can't hit the ball but maybe 200 yards, but maybe I'll get lucky.
I think I could take Brian Harmon in a driving contest. And I also think in a pace of play contest, I would take Brian Harmon.
Well, shit, I could beat him in a pace of play contest. I'll shoot a triple bogey, but it'll be fast.
All right, Scott. That's going to be it. Be sure to keep an eye on the Public Links Championships to watch me play in our Financing Aquatic Kangaroo Exploration sponsored apparel. And also we'll probably release that same apparel out to our fans as well to purchase at a markup, right? Like we got to pay for my flight.
Maybe on Etsy.
It'll be there. But we appreciate everybody who joined us. We will see everybody same time, different day next week on Born on the Bayou Sports.